gonna kind of click on one from the top, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so first one we're talking about is LaMarcus Aldridge, right? Me and Josh had kind of talked. Well, we've been having this talk since the bubble, right? About what is LA's fit's going to be or whatever. And one of the last talks that me and Joshua had, maybe like 2 weeks or so, maybe like a week or so into the season, was kind of revisiting that same talk about LaMarcus Aldridge and his play style mixing with everybody else. And at the time, I think that the general like thought was, well, we have a lot of gameplay footage of what we look like without LaMarcus Aldridge, but at the time we didn't really have a lot of gameplay with him, so it was like, let's wait and let's kind of let's come back to this later. So now I think 16 games he's played in almost all of them, so we have a bigger sample size to look at now. And so we wanted to pose the question of, does the bad outweigh the good when it comes to LaMarcus Aldridge, right? So, Josh, you can go ahead and kind of kick us off when you think about the things that he does bad or the things that he does good. Like, how does this question shape up for you?
Right. A lot of people talk about the good as far as his pick and pop, right? It's a good tool to use with DJ, with Lonnie, with a lot of our young players. He's a good I don't know how you say it, like safety blanket. Whenever our guys get deep or whatever, you kick out, you find a lay. He's capable of knocking down that shot a lot of the times, and that's really good. That I feel like that helps us a lot. But then just watching these last couple games or some of the close games, and I feel like everybody's torching him on defense. So that's why I propose this question, because of all the good things he does and all the scoring he does and the blanket that he gives our young guys, it's like, well, it doesn't really mean much whenever he's just giving up tons of points on the defensive end. It kind of just cancels each other out. And then in those late games, specifically this Dallas one, I mean, you saw how easy Luka came off the screen. He's one-on-one. He did he just stopped, spun, hit the shot off the glass, and that seals it, and it's like, if we had just a younger guy, or I don't know who we would put in that position, taking LA off the floor is a big loss for us, but it's just like his defensive woes in my mind are just, it's putting it over the level for me, where I'm just like, okay, well, maybe we just don't need this guy on the floor so much. Like, not that maybe we don't need him off the team, but we don't need him playing in those crunch times when we need stops. Because I feel like we have the guys that can score, LA does make their job easier, but I think when it came down to it, I think they could still get a good shot off or create something good for themselves with all the young talent that we have, or even DeMar, like I'm not saying like young guys, but it's just, maybe we just don't need him on there because he gets killed on that defensive end.
Yeah. And everybody kind of has things that, where it's like, at the end of the game, we can target this guy because of this, right? Or maybe everybody kind of has some holes in their game. So I would be curious to see, because I feel like there have been a couple of closing lineups that didn't include LA, right? Throughout the year, but I don't have any of those in front of me. But I can see that. Okay, so to kind of go along with what you're saying, because as of right now, we're not at the trade deadline yet. LA is definitely a piece. As we get closer to February, we'll be talking. Depending on what our record is, how we're playing, and all that kind of stuff. But like right now, in terms of trying to win games with the people you got, like, who would you sit LA and have like Jakob of the solo big out there and try to have 4 smaller dudes? Like, what do you see as a way to kind of remedy some of that?
See, and that's the hard part. I don't want to lose the size. I don't want to lose like the length that he puts on the floor, but I don't know if he's just slow. Like, I don't know what it is. I just feel like he cannot guard a single person out there. Other than a guy like that's playing his type of style, a big man like that, where he could just throw bodies at each other. But when they have any type of speed advantage or anything like that, man, they go after like LA. I feel like it's apparent that's who, just like you said, a team could talk about it and, oh, this is what we're going to do. And they do it, and they do it well every single time, So it's hard for me. I'm not Pop, I don't know. I don't got that. I'm not that guy. Like, so I don't know who I would throw in there. And It's maybe Trey. Maybe we try to give Trey some minutes and get him acclimated in the game like early on. That way, when he's not out there just cold, I'm not saying, hey, go in there in the last 2 minutes and do your thing. Cold off the bench like that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
So the in-game people usually, usually it's Rudy Gay and Jakob as like our second line, the big men. So it's like, do we slide do you close with Rudy?
Yeah,
With
maybe
and Yak?
maybe Rudy at the 4. Yeah,
Right.
Rudy at
Yeah.
the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe you put LA in there, but you put him in at the, I don't know, like, because I get exactly what you're saying, but it's like maybe we can hide him
Some other,
defensively a little
yeah.
bit. You know what I mean? I don't know. My whole thing, and Jake, I'll let you jump in too. My whole thing is like, I feel like you're mentioning these late game situations or whatever, and I'm a little bit confused when it comes to like our defensive philosophy or just the league's philosophy with just like switching everything, and everything just feels so like it's geared towards like conceding ground. You know what I mean? And a guy like LA, that hurts him. That hurts him because you don't want if you're already disadvantaged being slower, then what are you trying to give up more ground for? Why are you trying to give up more position? And I don't know, like in my opinion, I feel like our guards don't put our big men in good positions, and then our big men are a little bit slow, So it's like it's a compound issue. Because I mean, yeah, I agree, man. We LA gets picked on, and our bigs kind of get picked on too, as a whole. But there are a couple times where just the type of defense that's getting played out on the perimeter is there. It's not very either individually, it's not very good, or just like we're training ourselves to be like, okay, good. I'm going to give you that so that we can switch this and we can do this. And it's like you're giving these guys all this room, and the NBA is just like trained to have offense ready at any part of the floor now. So I don't know. I feel the same kind of way, like where you feel like the bad is starting to just like show itself more and more.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because we're coming off a week of where we lost a lot of games. But all right, Jake, throw your 2 cents in here.
Well, I don't really have like strong opinions in terms of just like how the bad outweighs the good, just because of like I don't remember the exact stat, but like that time period where LA wasn't playing with us, we were like a very negative team in terms of our record. But then you look at the beginning of the season, you look at like when he did come back and we were winning games. Obviously, this last week did not help that, but it's still like at that point, sometimes I can't argue with just the results. We were winning games, and even though LA didn't look good out there on the defensive end, if we're winning games with him on the floor compared to us not winning games without him, like what can we do to try and fix that, to where if we don't want his defensive liability on the court, what can we do to actually adjust to that? Because I don't think our roster can. Like you were saying, like try to hide him on the 4, but no, like there's so many smaller 4s in the league now that can run around and
I think he said floor. Like
yeah,
try to hide him on the floor, like not at the 4.
Okay. That was
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way that we could actually hide him by playing him at the 4 and Yak at the 5. Like that wouldn't work.
It would be like the idea of closing with like Rudy Gay at the 4, or closing with somebody where I don't know, where you can maybe make it to where they're going to be the main guy that's in a pick and roll defense in the crunch time, and obviously it's up to the offense. The offense will probably seek out LA no matter where he's at.
Yeah. And have this guy run the screen or the high screen or whatever.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the idea of not having LA out there at the end of the game. It hurts our spacing, and that's the one thing that I wish that we could work on. Like if Trey were able to get those minutes, I'd love to see Trey at the 5, just because he can semi space a little bit. Like he's a better spacer than Yak, obviously, and might not be a better spacer than LA, but he's still a big enough body that, like, if we're not playing against a star center, I wouldn't mind him trying to guard just like that 5 out there, the JaVale McGee's, even like the Steven Adams, right? Just like the people that don't need the ball in their hands. So, Trey doesn't have to have that big of a defensive responsibility.
Yeah.
But And like Josh was saying, that just means that we do have to start giving him PT. Like we can't
Yeah.
just throw him out there at the end of a game and not.
Yeah.
So and that's another thing. It's like when we talk about like Jake was saying like I don't know if our roster is built for it. Well, it's like we've been having LA struggles or big man struggles in general, but like Luka still don't get no playing time. Trey don't get no playing time. Eubank, and I know that Eubanks has been gone and Luka was gone for a little bit too, but it's like they don't. You know what I mean? So it's like our replacements don't get in. And it's kind of the same things we were talking about last year, where it was like, man, we got all these young guys on the bench, and we got 2 guys that are playing that are struggling. It's like, are we going to?
We don't use them. It's hard.
Where it's like, where it's like, what is the point for them if they're just gonna sit when there looks to be opportunities to get them out there? So I do get that, but I also think a lot of our struggles defensively have stemmed from the fact that we're just not really shooting well right now. Especially, man, like when you watch, I watched a little bit of the Spurs Pelicans highlights this morning just to kind of refresh my brain because we're about to play them again for a second time. And we gave like Zion and we gave even like Adams and stuff like that, like some easy points. And a lot of them were literally just like they're the ones closing out to our shooters, and then they just take off running. Like, and that's kind of happened a lot. And when we rely so much on the outside shot, we're that's a new part of the game, is like that transition. It's that NBA 2K that philosophy of just like have the guy run at the shooter and then take off. Yeah, exactly. So it happens it probably just happens a lot more league wide now. You know what I mean? So in transition, are we going to have somebody that just gets down and stops a lot of that open those easy buckets? So
the Lakers would do that a lot, and even when they did score buckets. Like when our team would score buckets, the Lakers would try to find that outlet.
They do, and they do it with like Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? So
you just throw it up and let him out jump everybody.
Yeah, New Orleans did it to Zion 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean? Or at least target him. So maybe that's on design. Maybe that's by design. Hey, they got slow big, so even on a take off, you might get a couple layups. You know what I mean? Like. That could be maybe I'm seeing it as an upward trend because they're just doing it against us.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't know. Like I think we're still at the moments like where offensively we're still obviously we're still like relying on our vets to kind of bring us home a lot of the times. And in that regard, it's like I don't feel like we can really go away from it just yet. I won't feel comfortable going away from our vets this year until like our young guys show like that they want that opportunity. Like right now, a lot of the times it's been our vets through necessity having to like just be consistent or step up or even just take the shot, even if they're not in a good rhythm. Like they know, I guess maybe it's just a thing of like, they know what that feels like. And our young guys stuff to learn, like when those moments are to like really just to kind of seize those opportunities. But, and I do think in terms of like the bad outweighing the good, I still think that we could use LA even more. Like there's still so many times where it's like we don't have anything going for us offensively, but they won't go to LA in his sweet spots. You know what I mean? It's still just LA standing out there on the 3-point line. So, I mean, in my opinion, it's like I think that we could help ourselves out by giving, LA's a rhythm guy. We've talked about it for a long time about how he needs to kind of get his shot to get into his flow. So I would be down with giving him a lot of looks at the beginning of the game. We kind of talked about this a while ago, back when like Kawhi was still on the team. We had talked about having LaMarcus Aldridge be like our number 1 option in like the first and the third quarters, and then having Kawhi Leonard be our closer in the second and the fourth. And I think that we can kind of have something similar where it's like we need LA to get going. And so put him down, like let him go down low. Like there's no point. I don't think that there's a problem of our offense stemming from the post still. We can still take more threes. We can still spread the ball and run and do all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like we shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
I get that.
So at this moment, I mean, I'm on the fence still. I do think that we still need him. I would still say that his good outweighs the bad. Because I feel like, it's a lot easier to we look a lot different when we're making shots. We just look a
Yeah.
lot different, you know.
And I think I'm more leaning towards the bad. Like even though there's so much good, I just it's like the woes. The woes to me are just like the defensive woes. I mean, not him in general, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's rough because you see sometimes like LaMarcus will shut me up and he'll prove like, yeah, this is why I'm here. This is why, you know, I've been doing this for X amount of years. And then some nights I'm just like, get off the floor, man. Go sit down. It's rough.
I mean, and again, like we said, maybe it's just a situational thing, trying to find exactly when the time is to have him out there, and when you know, and that's the whole give and take of this whole season. This is our transition season. This is like one of the final times we think where like the reins are going to be given to guys like LA and DeMar and like our vets. This is like, I guess, like what in my head, I imagine is like at some point, you know, we're going to switch it over to the young guys. So we're just trying to find when those moments are, I guess. Right.
I would just rather have it.